It's the only facility of its kind in North America, and without it, many families in BC simply couldn't cope. Canuck Place provides specialized care for children who are severely ill. This is National Hospice Week, and tonight we introduce you to the McLarens of Delta, a family not unlike your own, except for their two special children. Bridgitte Anderson has their story.
Two healthy babies, the dream of any parent. But right after Trevor McLaren was born, there were signs of trouble.
Within moments after his birth, the doctors took him right away, and he was just really shaky, and he had his little hands, arms, wrists were turned in, his feet were turned up.
The news was not good.
The pediatrician came in and was very, very blunt and said, "Your child is going to be severely disabled."
Trevor had been diagnosed with mitochondrial disease, a degenerative illness that attacks the body's cells.
We didn't know what those disabilities were going to look like. They couldn't tell us if he was going to be able to walk or talk, or we had absolutely no idea what to expect.
While the McLarens tried to grasp what was happening to their son, their second child, Craig, arrived.
When he was born, and it was the same thing all over again. I mean, it was just devastating.
And debilitating. Mitochondrial disease affects people differently. In the case of Trevor and Craig, their brain cells were damaged. Despite the doctor's negative outlook, Karen and Mark were optimistic.
You have a bit of hope all the time when they're a lot smaller and things are still growing and changing. Who's Craig?
There was hope when Trevor was a toddler. His development progressed, if only a little bit.
He reached his peak being able to crawl and being able to slightly feed himself, and then it went downhill from there.
Downhill for both Trevor and Craig. The boys are now 10 and 12 years old.
Hey, little guy. How are you doing?
They cannot walk or talk. It is difficult to tell just how much they understand.
How do they like your haircut today?
Trevor and Craig depend on their parents for even the simplest of things.
Ooh.
Their demands are so intense that all of our energy really is used to look after them because we have to meet their basic needs.
Tired?
A 24-hour-a-day job.
It's a constant job when you're in the house because they can't do anything on their own.
That includes eating. Nutrients are pumped into their stomachs by a tube connected to this machine. And there is endless medication.
So Craig is on the nitrazepam, that's right, 3 times a day.
The boys must also be bathed and dressed, and there are constant distress calls.
Throughout their lives, nighttime has been very difficult. Waking up at night, seizuring at night, screaming and crying.
It takes a toll.
You go to bed often crying, wondering how am I going to get up in the morning and feel good or just feel like I can smile again or whatever after a hard night after they've been sick. You just keep getting up again because you want to. You have to look after these guys. Nobody else will. Nobody else cares about them like we do.
Despite Karen and Mark's love, their 24-hour care, and their dedication, Trevor and Craig will never get better.
It was made clear to us that this was a life-limiting illness and that it was very likely that their lifespan would be somewhere between 3 and 12 years.
So the McLarens rely on this haven. Canuck Place Children's Hospice is the only facility of its kind in North America. It's become a second home for Trevor and Craig.
Hey Trevor, look at your room. Hey, are you happy to be here?
Canuck Place is a refuge for families like the McLarens.
Isn't that cool?
The hospice provides loving care for children with terminal illnesses, end-of-life care, grief counseling, and for the McLarens, a much-needed break from their 24-hour responsibilities.
I'm exhausted. I'm feeling that I need my rest. I'm really looking forward to actually having some sleep, and I'm not worried about the boys. They're being looked after so well here.
Which gives Karen and Mark the strength to go on.
That's the single biggest factor involved in us surviving as parents of severely disabled children. The fact that you have to have respite.
With all the hardship, trials, and tribulations, it may be difficult to imagine any joy in this family, but you don't know Mark and Karen.
Craig is like this cute little teddy bear. You just you just want to pick him up and cuddle him, and he'll sit with you and cuddle, and he's just totally smoochable.
Trevor!
He has an infectious smile. He gets a lot of attention because of the way he smiles and laughs, and people are drawn towards him.
And that's taught the McLarens a lot about life.
I've learned how much a person can be stretched. I mean, just how resilient a human being can be.
And even more about love.
They're just our special boys.
Bridgitte Anderson, CTV News.
Canuck Place operates on a $3 million annual budget. The Vancouver Canucks and BC government contribute 2/3 of that, and the remainder comes from individuals and corporate donations. To find out more, you can call 604-731-4847.